not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nubs. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be...
Co-workers.
Hey, co-workers, how are you doing?
Good evening, good evening. Hey, co-workers. Hey, ladies, how are y'all doing?
Hey.
Hey. All right, well, it is 8 o'clock and we're gonna get started so we don't hold y'all long. So once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Welcome to Business and Bullshit, where we are 3 women.
3 perspectives.
1 podcast.
All right, so co-workers, if you've tuned in before, you know, we usually do church announcements and but tonight we're going to change it up a little bit. So we're going to get into the show. We've had a lot happening this week and just period. So we're just going to kind of get into tonight's topic. We're just going to do some hot topics. We tired.
ain't no announcements, ain't no church announcements because we tired.
Tired. So just as the flyer said, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Rest in peace to Fannie Lou Hamer. And so we're just going to get into some topics. We're going to bounce off of each other. If you have comments, if you have anything you want to get off your chest, please chime in and we'll be glad to share it. We want to hear from you. We want to engage. And so y'all ready to get started, ladies?
Yes.
All right. Well, first I'm going to check in. How y'all just doing overall with this week? Like, overall.
Ooh, it's been a tough week. I don't think I have gone a day without crying at least 3 times since Tuesday. I know that it's like it's another one, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the George Floyd situation. I feel like we had just started processing Ahmaud Arbery. We had just, if you will, come off the heels of being angry about Breonna Taylor, and then boom, you know what I'm saying, George Floyd. And so I think that, or even so for me, of course, I always think about my sons and husband. So
absolutely. What about you, Dre?
I'm just here. I think that unfortunately I'm to the point, it's kind of like what Amber said, where it's one and then it's another and it's another, and you try to grieve for them individually. But I'm to the point now where it's just like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? I don't have, of course I grieve for them, but it's just, I can't, the grief has turned into frustration and anger. And that's draining, you know what I'm saying? On top of just whatever you have going on personally in your life, COVID, community, etc. So I think numbness would be is a good word.
Yeah. And that's I think that for me, it goes in stages. It really is like, you know, these stages of grief. Like first, except there's no denial. How about that? There is no denial.
There's no denial.
There's no denial. There is just, you know, the acknowledgement, the acceptance, the anger, the pleading. We have a coworker, Kia Brooks, says it's mentally exhausting.
I agree.
I was talking to an actual coworker earlier today.
Okay.
I'm your coworker though.
Right, you are a coworker. Both of y'all are coworkers. Anyway,
I was just gonna say, okay, let's go.
I heard some other coworkers for a different job, and I was just talking about the fact that like we get tired You know what I'm saying? But it's because everything is so emotionally draining. Just being Black, as wonderful as it is, comes with its own obstacles, right? It comes with its own barriers that you have to climb over and all this. But then at the same time, you have to like use energy to not let this stuff in, kind of like Drew was talking about being numb, you know what I'm saying? Or like deciding what you're going to, it's just a lot. It's a lot to carry.
It absolutely is. All right, so I'm going to read this quote by Austin Channing Brown. I don't know if y'all are familiar with her work, and I thought it was very appropriate for tonight. So I'm going to read it, and I want to get your feedback off of it, and then I'm going to get into 2 to 3 more hot topics that we'll bounce off of each other for. So y'all ready?
Yeah.
As
All
I
right.
can be.
I understand. All right, so she says, but I am not impressed with America's progress. I am not impressed that slavery was abolished or that Jim Crow ended. I feel no need to pat America on its back for these achievements. This is how it always should have been. Many call it progress, but I do not consider it praiseworthy that only within the last generation did America reach the baseline for human decency. As comedian Chris Rock says, I suppose these things were progress for white people, but damn, I hope there is progress I can sincerely applaud on the horizon, because the extrajudicial killing of Black people is still too familiar, because the racist rhetoric that Black people are lazier, more criminal, more undeserving than white people is still too familiar, because the locking up of a disproportionate number of Black bodies is still too familiar, because the beating of Black people in the streets is still too familiar. History is collapsing on itself once again.
Are you wanting my thoughts on that?
Just with, yeah, you know, a lot of people, from what I'm seeing social media wise, of course, on the news, you know, this was, you know, I didn't watch the video. I can't. I am not consuming that. I saw the picture was enough. I can't consume the video. I can't consume any more videos. I just can't. There's this almost this feeling like this is the first time this has happened. There's still this shock and awe among the majority. And you know, in reading that quote, we know that it's been happening.
Sorry, I call bull crap.
Yeah.
I call bull crap.
Okay, so
there is no shock and awe for the white majority. Like you're not shocked by this. You're not. And if you're shocked by this, if you are appalled, if this has caught you off guard, you don't get to call yourself a friend to me. Okay? Because that means that my pain ain't been nowhere in your purview. It ain't like my pain ain't been nowhere in your gaze for you to say that you're shocked and you can't believe this happened. At this point, I need you to say, damn, this still happening? Like,
minimum.
What we gonna do about this happening? But I don't need your shock. We done with shock. We were done with shock 15 names ago.
So how do y'all feel about the apologies? I'm sorry, Black people. I'm sorry. How do y'all like? Let's go. These are our hot topics. How do y'all feel about some of the statuses, some of the news reports? Meghan McCain was on The View yesterday. Like, she called it out. I was like,
It is not Black women's job or Black men's job to assuage white guilt.
So here's my thing. First of all, none of my friends, Caucasian friends, white friends, was like, I'm sorry. I think the people who would normally say I'm sorry on my timeline, I think they probably unfriended me by now. But here's the thing. I'm over, to go back to what that quote that you gave. Number one, we haven't made progress. There are people, when I say there are people, I mean my mama, people in my immediate family that I can call and they still have vivid memories of the Klan, school segregation. And we think of school segregation of just, oh, you can't go to the same school. We're not thinking about integration and the BS that went along with that, being sped on, all the other stuff. My family lived down the street from the Klan. And they lived in a town that had sunset hours. So that ain't really a generation ago. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is they had sunset laws, but there's places in 2020 I still can't go after that.
Well, I won't find out. That's the thing. I won't find out if I can go.
I'm not going to Harrison, Arkansas. I don't care.
The first time my job sent me up there, I was like, listen, I'm going. I'm going early. I'm going early in the daytime. I need to be on the phone with somebody every time I get out this car. I don't care if I'm going to get gas, a pack of gum. I need to be on the phone with somebody. Somebody needs to know where and when I disappeared while I'm up here. Okay?
Absolutely.
I don't need the I'm sorry's. I need action. You know what I'm saying? I need, because you can't apologize. I mean, you're white, so you can't apologize for something that you don't have any control about over. What you can do is check the people who are doing the, microaggressions, the oppression, and all the other stuff. Because the thing about it is, Black people cannot solve this problem.
Absolutely.
We are 13% of the population, and then some of us passing, some of us are oblivious to what's going on. So
kinfolk ain't kinfolk.
And so it's like, and I'm tired of the polls that saying Black women need to step up. Like we the forerunners of every issue. Like, we're tired, and then we don't even get protection. So it's multi. Our men are being shot down worse than animals in the street. They can't even bird watch. They can't break up a fight in front of a store and keep their lives, you know what I'm saying, or be threatened.
Hair.
And the main people that's saying I'm sorry are the main people who are calling the police in parks because somebody wants to grill, because somebody is asking them, hey, put your dog up. This isn't the first time a Black person has been harassed at a park.
Absolutely.
Ever. So it's like you saying you sorry, but 53% of white women voted for our current administration. You say we allies, but you're not even putting my issues on your timeline. You're not
on your time, and you talk about everything. And you talk about everything.
Or you do talk about my issues after I call you out for not talking about my issues. Right. So it's just like, you can't call yourself an ally. Like, allyship is earned. You shouldn't say I'm an ally. You should have one of us say, hey, this is the ally. You can't take that title upon yourself. You have to be gifted that from your work in our struggles, right? And what I tell people, because a lot of African Americans want to get into diversity, and I tell them, I was like, we need diversity everywhere. We need diversity at these banks. We need diversities in housing. Anywhere that minorities are oppressed, that's where we need diversity. You don't have to be in a diversity, equity, and inclusion department at an institution or at an organization, at a company, to be to do social justice.
Absolutely.
I think that well, first, our coworkers said hell no apologies. Said hell no as far as the apologies. And then we had another coworker who said apologies are useless, especially now. So this is the thing when it comes to not apologies, but even wanting to be a part of the struggle, or you know what I'm saying, all this, like, and you being enraged. So since this latest incident, I have friends that are like, listen, what can we do? Where's the struggle? What's the what's the plan? Like, where are we going next?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we ready to march, we ready to ride, we ready to this. And I was like, listen, pause, okay? Because we have to be strategic about this. We can't just run out and go protest. We can't just run out, grab our guns and be like, this is our right, because that doesn't work for us.
No, so we're in the bed.
And I said, if you are a true ally, if you are a true friend, you're going to wait to see what if we're the voice that you're trying to amplify, if we are the people that you're trying to work for and work with, wait until you receive, you know what I'm saying, some information or instruction from, because when we go storm the Capitol, we are the ones who die. We lose more sons and husbands when those things like that happen. So I understand that you are angry today, but your anger is fresh.
Absolutely. There was a comment in a group that I'm in, and it stated, how do I use my voice as a Southern white woman? How do I say that I will no longer tolerate racism? And the first thing I want to say to anyone who's listening to this is, as a Southern white woman, you have a voice forever, now, and always. You are the most protected group. You are the most elevated group that ever was, period. And so your voice, well,
Go
I
ahead.
just feel like,
Okay.
no, okay. So you always have a voice. Use your privilege and use your platform to speak out. Call a thing a thing. You know, that's how you.
They have to see a thing as a
combat.
thing first. You can't
Yes,
call
that's
a
true.
thing a thing if you don't even know that it's a thing, right? Like, it is frustrating for me that the conversation or narrative around the conversation or around what's happening in Minneapolis right now is about looters, right? Like,
Oh,
and,
yes.
and it's all about the looters and the blacks are taking the stuff and they're stealing and they're doing XYZ. Pause, because that's exactly to me what whiteness is. Whiteness is a framework that allows for the oppression and the continuation of supremacy and privilege without actually, you know what I'm saying, having to do anything. It's supposed to be invisible, right? So this whole situation started because a black man, an unarmed black man who was not resisting arrest, when you go and look at all the footage, was subdued by 4 cops, placed on the ground, and killed by a white cop with a knee on his neck. First of all, this is where it started. It started with an act of racism. It started with an act of murder. It started with an act of evil. Then people started to gather because people need connection. People are frustrated. People didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, this state just getting over Philando Castile. Okay. So, like, this ain't their first rodeo. And now you see people taking things, you see people looting, because that to me is this anger, this hurt, it has boiled over. And even though some of those may be small businesses or these mom and pop places, like, essentially it's the system, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, that they're trying to take from or trying to hurt with the burning down of or the knocking over. But, like, we're talking about the looters, but not how we got here, because that's whiteness. It is so invisible and veiled that we don't even add it to the narrative. We don't even add the oppression and the reason and the anger that these people got to looting in the story. That's frustrating.
So with that, you actually make a good segue into the next hot topic. Let's talk about weaponizing whiteness.
I mean, you talking about Emmett Till? Or are we talking about this? Are you talking about Monday? Or are you talking about Emmett Till? Or are you talking about, like, which case we gonna start with?
Well, let's start with recently. Let's start with the park. Let's start with Amy Cooper, and let's start with how she worded how she intentionally worded, told what she was gonna do, how she was gonna say it. And so let's, because a lot of people are like, I don't understand that term. What does it mean to weaponize whiteness? So let's talk about that.
So I'm gonna say from a general standpoint. Go ahead, Amber, for the coworker. Go ahead.
The co-workers have said, we need minorities who will speak up. Many of us just accept. Understand you need a check, but I'll buy a pack of seeds and grow my own before I sit and say nothing. As our coworker Kia. Kia also said, even though Black women have the most education, growth, and entrepreneurship, and that's facts. And our other coworker, Katrina, says, I've been thinking a lot about the James Baldwin quote. Y'all know that quote.
Which one?
To be a Negro
in this country
is to be relatively conscious, is to be in a rage almost all the time. When I say at all the time, like, you can call us the Hulk. Like, we brown right now, but I promise any minute now,
it's all it takes. Absolutely. That's what I'm like, which James Baldwin quote? Which one?
All of it.
Right.
So I want to start from a general position on the weaponizing whiteness. So here's the thing. Anytime, I mean, I feel as though it's so ingrained. It is so it's the essence of it that a lot of white people don't know when it's happening.
Okay.
Right. So I believe that Amy Cooper, although I don't think she was malicious. I'm not trying to take the responsibility of what she did. I don't think she realized what she was doing because it's within her, right?
Right.
She knew what to say, right, to get everything, but it's in you. It's kind of like it's like breathing air. It's so natural to weaponize those. Like you don't realize, you don't have to turn a button on and say, "Oh, I'm trying to get this. Let me figure out what to say. Let me think of the words to say to get the police to come for this Black person." No, it's ingrained. It just pops up when it needs to happen. And what the sad thing about society is that historically, white women have lied on Black men, Black people in general. Historically, they didn't. From stealing, kidnapping kids and drowning them in cars, that didn't happen. Emmett Till, that didn't happen. Amy Cooper, that didn't happen. But yet, people still rush to save them and protect them. It's never like, well, let's check out and see what happened before we go in with guns and badges and all this other stuff. It's just, oh, a white woman's crying, a white woman is upset, and I get angry Black woman, bitter, you know, all this other stuff, needing mental assistance when I'm crying, when I'm upset. But let a white woman cry, especially when it's a Black person involved, the world stops. That also is ingrained in our society. Mm-hmm. That doesn't take thought. Like no one is out here critically thinking. No one is out here strategizing how to get Black men killed. That's an innate nature. It's not like we waking up and we're gonna say we're gonna kill 5 Black people this month. Like, no, that's just natural.
Absolutely. It's historical. Go ahead.
I think that she most certainly knew what she was doing. I think she should be charged with attempted murder, because when you are aware of what's going on, like even if you've seen the news, whether you agree or not, you know for a fact that Black men, unarmed Black men, are killed often. I mean, at this point, we 5 months into 2020, and we on how many national stories? And there are so many that we don't know. Okay, there are several stories that we don't know. So she knew good and doggone well what those words meant and how powerful those words are. And that's why she put that heightened sense of urgency at the end. I'm being attacked by a Black. Like that's where that high-pitched voice and all of that excitement that she had at the end, when she was sitting there first going, I'm going to tell them that an African-American man is threatening me. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you get on the phone and you're like, I'm in the ramble. I'm this. And she was calm. And then she got excited. She knew she wanted to cause panic because they, like you said, they're going to rush in to save. And she should be charged with attempted murder. And every single time that a false police report is called, it should be considered a hate crime and attempted murder, because you know, even if your let's say your least, you know, the outcome was maybe they get arrested, but the worst is that they die, and you're still willing to make that call, you should be charged.
I'm absolutely in agreement.
I want to clarify the comments. I'm not saying she didn't know what she was doing. What I'm saying is she didn't have to critically think to say what she said. It just became natural. It's not like she took a moment to say, okay, what step A, I need to say this. Step B, I need to say this. Like, no, that stuff was natural and rapid.
Like it came like that.
Yeah, the I don't know if you saw recently the 2 stories. First of all, it's 2 in this week, where the mom with the autistic son, he wasn't able to. So there was a white woman. She had a son. He was autistic. He was unable to speak. Like all of this. She tried to drown him once. He got out. She was hot about it. Okay. She then goes to drown him a second time. When the police came, she was like, there were two Black men, right? She said there were 2 Black men. They wanted drugs, and when they couldn't get it, they took my son. Pause. Wait. So 2 drug addicts, 2 crackhead Black men,
random
2 random Black men came up and said, we want drugs. And if we can't have the drugs, we're going to take your son, not you. So we can attack and rape you, woman. Okay, not you, which is just the more likely, but we're gonna take your son, because he can help us get them. I just like, but that's how innate or how much in society we don't even care about the fall guy. The fall guy was black. Like that's what he was. So
It goes, actually, her story took me back. Y'all remember that story years ago where the mom killed her two boys? She pushed the car into the river.
Took her car.
Said the black guy hijacked her. It was a whole police chase, whole big deal. Come to find out, she killed them babies. And
every person was like, "That ain't true. Black men ain't out here taking folks, ain't taking no white babies.
Ain't taking no extra kids. Ain't no black men out here running around taking extra kids."
I need to pull the more recent statistics, but the statistics, the numbers that show how frequently white women kill their own kids.
I don't care.
I
don't
compared to black women. The last time, I mean, go ahead.
I said our co-workers and said, Gerald said, "Oh, she knew. She may not have had the words weaponized whiteness in her head, but she knew she was threatening to have him harmed in some way by men or women with guns who were at her fingertips." Our coworker Melanie says, "I think all white people I know need to be listening to this conversation." Dominique says, I actually think Amy knew exactly what she was doing. She just didn't realize it was called weaponizing whiteness. She simply didn't know there was a phrase for it." Exactly. Sharon, of course, says she knew what she was doing. And then someone said, just like breathing, and that she should be charged because she should be in jail. The sheer fact that dog that she strangled for 30 seconds. Now, when I say 30 seconds, y'all, I watched this and I watched it and I was going, oh, they're going to have a fit over this dog. Oh, they're going to have, like, the dog.
They came and got that dog.
The dog has received justice. You hear me? The dog has already been removed from this woman's home, pending an investigation. And Christian is just supposed to be like, well, I'm glad that the police didn't come and shoot me. I guess we're just supposed to, that's it. That's all Christian get. But the dog,
the dog
has been protected.
The dog has been protected. So this leads into, this isn't a topic, but I'm gonna come into this because one thing I'm trying to tell people is also watch your wording, because immediately when the story went out, it attached Christian's education to him. It attached all of the things that play into
Columbia or Harvard.
I think Harvard. I don't know. I have to look it up. But it automatically attached all of these things which play into respectability. And so I told a couple of people,
he's valued because
he was one of the good blacks. So I cannot believe she did, like, the outrage wasn't that she did it to this black man. It was that she did this to this educated, this professional black man. Like, because if it had been Pookie that she called on, let's get it right. All he asked was for her to follow the rules. So let's start there. Like,
for him to he's
like, please put a leash on your dog because that is the law in this area. And she lost it. And then when she put the leash on the dog, he said thank you and left, because that's all he asked you for. You have threatened his life because you were not following the rules. And man, I'm tired. And then society was like, wait a minute. She almost killed that bird watching non-threatening black guy. Mm-hmm. What?
Dominique,
because the type of black he is makes a difference.
And that's level. You have,
What his value. So one of our coworkers, Dominique A. White, stated as if a guy has to be a certain type of black not to die. Kia Brooks said, in our faith, blacks versus dogs.
And
also stated, but you're right, Andrea, it was second nature to her to use that as a tool to get the results she wanted.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, that respectability, all that education, it still ain't gonna save you.
And the thing about it is, when I looked at all of like, I think about what I wear to work versus where I wear just run to Walmart versus just different, I don't go out my house when I'm not going to work typically looking like I'm going to an office. right? Today I had to make a quick run. I had on some workout pants, a t-shirt, a sweater, and a hat because it was a little chilly. So because I'm not dressed a certain way, I don't deserve to live. I don't have a family that cares about me and who loves me. And the thing about it is, as much as I'm told as a Black woman, stop putting so much power in my credentials, this man's credentials was ran across he's a person. And whether or not he had those credentials, whether or not he had someone to come home to, he is a person. We have devalued Black lives, and that's why Black Lives Matter.
And that can't be possible. That can't be possible that we devalue them because all lives matter.
All lives matter. You won't wear a mask, but all lives matter.
You don't adopt, no, you don't adopt, but all lives matter.
All lives matter. So let's get
I want to touch on one thing.
You don't show up at the breast cancer rally talking about what about lung cancer. You don't show up at the prostate cancer place talking about what about my brain cancer. But when we say Black Lives Matter, then it's an issue. It's an issue. So either you agree
and make slogans like Blue Lives Matter, right?
About ain't no such thing as a blue life. It ain't no such thing. Ain't nobody born blue but the Smurfs. You can't have a blue life.
So to go back to what you said before, I had my low tech issues about the looting. That is also respectability politics, because the thing about it is we're out here minding our own business, watching birds, going to stores, getting Skittles and tea.
Not Skittles.
Yeah.
Driving around and getting it, all this other stuff, minding our own business, walking into sitting at our house eating cereal, looking at the window because we hear somebody on our property. We minding our own Black business, and we still getting killed, right? So the looting part, and I'm not saying I'm pro looting, I'm against looting. To me, that's a minor that's a minor thing in the bigger issue. If that's what's gonna get attention to this, I would rather us go up to the governor's mansion and loot that. I mean, it is technically taxpayers' money, but my whole thing is we're critiquing outrage because it's inconvenient to the white majority. We're not. We can say looting is morally wrong, all other stuff, but it's the inconvenience. Y'all mad that the Target right now, essential material, it's hard to get some bleach right now. You mad because you inconvenience. You mad because you got to go across town to the other Target because y'all ain't going to Walmart now. So you mad you got to go across town to go to the other Target. That's really all it is.
You just said the word inconvenience.
I'm not going to talk about looting until we talk about how we got here.
Yeah, and then as a friend of mine said today, she was like, Target got insurance, end of story, next.
Target is like the dog. Target is more valued than the Black man's life.
That's what I'm saying. My concern when it comes to the looters is their safety, because they're going to be viewed as threatening. My concern is that they will be harmed, but the stuff that's insured.
The white ones won't. The white looters won't.
Which is, I'm just always confused. I'm not confused. It's not confusing.
You already know.
What was that? Maybe 3 weeks ago, where the Patriots who believed that their rights were being infringed, and they took their guns into the Capitol building. You know what I'm saying? Like just armed white men in the Capitol. And there's this picture where there's the policeman standing there. This man is yelling. He is this close from this policeman's face, yelling, and has a rifle in his hand. And the police officer looks unafraid. The police officer looks like he's not in fear for his life, but he has a whole rifle. The man has a rifle in his hand, but somehow
and his friends have rifles.
And his friends, not just him. The 15 people with him have rifles.
Okay? They in there. Everybody got a gun.
But you afraid when this 17-year-old Black man reaches for a cone? You shot him because you thought he was reaching for a gun. The 15 in front of you actually have guns, and they all made it to where they're going. So this is my thing. Decisions have been made. And if they weren't, the decision is I may accidentally, because this last one, that's straight murder. Okay. I do, of course, think implicit bias and all that plays a part. Implicit bias, racism, explicit bias, all of that. The thing is, even criminals deserve to make it to court. I don't care what you feel the offense was. This country is supposed to be founded on the fact that there is a justice system and they can go and be judged by their peers. And I'm just trying to figure out why we can't ever make it to the peers.
Why we can't ever make it to the
Dylan Roof killed who knows how many people, and they were able to stop and get McDonald's before they took him to the jail.
Like he for real killed him. Like he literally
he walked in that church in Charleston and killed, what was it, 8, 9 black people?
The 9.
Son, now you can figure out how to disarm and take him down, but the unarmed teenager that just happens to be 6 foot, and you know what I'm saying, like him.
Tamar Rice. Like we not even
help me understand.
Baby.
He
Baby,
was
12.
11. He was 11. You were threatened by the 11-year-old. So let's stop calling it that.
You had time to say put your weapon down, or like you drove up and started shooting. So
yeah.
One of our coworkers, Dominique, said when many people see Black people, they don't see your humanity, and that's the part of the problem.
Absolutely.
They can kill easily if they don't see your personhood or refuse to acknowledge it. Sharonda Bailey said whole semi-automatic weapons. Whole
semi-automatic.
Okay,
yeah.
Pause. Well, this moment in Ave, real quick. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I told them when Black women put the word whole in front of whatever it is, we have validated it. It has been validated and verified. If you say he got a whole job, he got a whole wife, he got a whole semi-automatic gun. If Black women put the word whole in front of anything, it has been verified, validated, and we could bring receipts.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's get on.
That's all I can say for this moment in Ave.
All right, so our next hot topic, because this is a hot one right here. I'm done with it because you can use the Googles. To teach or not to teach? To teach or not to teach? Because people are going, what do I need to read? What do I need to know? How do I get more information? Black women been doing this.
Come back. Amber, come back to the
Amber Nicole, if you don't click that video.
Come back.
So to teach or not to teach other folks, because is it our job to enlighten other races? What needs to happen? I did my best to try to word this question, and I was just like, I'm just gonna have to go to teach or not to teach.
Do you see our faces? Do you
see our
faces?
I know. I see the faces.
No. Wait, like let me tell you what I heard. Let me tell you what this question. Let me tell you what you just said as far as this question is concerned.
Mm-hmm. How did you hear it?
Dear Black woman, on top of caring for your mate, your children, trying to excel at what you have going on to make sure that your kids can figure out what generational wealth is, on top of the pressure of simply living in society, the barriers, on top of the explicit racism, on top of the grieving that you do so often, Black woman, for the fallen that look just like you, on top of fearing for the lives of your own son and even yours, on top of being like the most educated group as we continue to go forward, on top of entrepreneurship, on top of finding ways to figure out what mental health looks like and talk about it with your Black female friends, on top of seeing yourself represented as a caricature, either a Jezebel, a Mamie, on top of not getting to hear your voice, on top of people taking your mic, your platform, recentering issues that are about you, on top of dragging every single movement that you have ever touched, whether it is women's suffrage, civil rights, you name it. On top of all of that, can you find some time to teach all the white people the things that they need to know about Black people? Because the Googles, YouTubes, and internets that they use to become epidemiologists, that they use to become Facebook scholars are obviously busy. Those things are busy. So can you please, on top of all the other things that you have going on that you have to face, come back and take your time to explain history, current events, and your grief to someone that can't understand your grief? Is that what you asked me? Oh, okay.
And the church said, yes, break that down. Yes, that's what I just asked you.
Okay. All right.
That's exactly
So I don't have
what
the
just
same emotional energy that Amber have on this topic because I'm tired. So because I have to remember I got a whole real job outside of this. So I'm trying to carefully articulate what the heck I want to say on this comment. First and foremost, you ain't got no Black friends to where you can have one-on-one conversations with. Let's start there. No, let me back up a couple more steps. We had the whole Black Panther movement. We had the whole party season. We had the whole civil rights movement. We had a whole Emancipation Proclamation. We got our Nikki Giovanni. We got our Angela Davis. We got a whole plethora of scholars, activists out here. Big name people. And you come in.
Michelle got a whole book. Even if Michelle is the only one that you know, Michelle got a book.
Got a book.
Bring hers.
You got to come ask me. Okay, like I know people. Somebody told me the other day. They said, "Dree, I really don't know what you do. I know you do stuff, but I don't know specifically what it is that you do." So I'm an advocate for people. I'm not typically a get up and do YouTube type videos advocate. I'm usually like, what's your issue? Let's connect you to the resources who we need to get you to, fill this form out. Don't do that. You're going to go to jail. Do this. Like that's the type of advocate that I am. And I'm not saying I'm any better or whatever than somebody else that do those things. I just don't do that. You know, everybody has a role to play in the liberation or whatnot. So I ain't finna run off a list of Amber, but I work with sex workers. I work with individuals with disabilities. I work with Black women. I work with brown women. So I have a conglomerate of people who reach out to me needing things. I do college readiness because even though we're the most educated people, guess what comes with that? Debt, which prevents us from getting houses, which prevents us from getting transportation, which means we now are having mental health issues because we stressed out. And guess what? We don't have access to healthcare. So it's this big circle that goes around and around and around. So like Amber said, we have all of these things that we do because traditionally, most, not all, African culture is a community-based type culture. Right. So we take care of a community, not just our mate, not just our kids. We take care of other people's mates, other people's kids. We're a community-based group. Yeah. So village. We're village. So you want me to take care of everybody, they mama, which I happily and gracefully do. And I got to do your emotional labor because you don't have the slightest bit of intelligent, emotional ability to say, you know what, can't relate to this, but just on a human level, this shit's fucked up. You can't do that much. So I got to take time out and go to my bookshelf because I got a plethora of books because I don't have to call a white woman or another Black woman to ask what they read.
Oh, you didn't have to because it was mainstream. You didn't have to because you were made to read it.
You were educated.
Like we don't have to worry about reading. We don't have to worry about reading Chaucer and Nietzsche and all of those because we're made to read those. Now, when on the flip, we are made to read, you know what I'm saying, like Zora Neale Hurston and all of these others in class. Like maybe the one-dimensional Black people will cease to exist or in the minds of the majority. You know what I'm saying? Like the myriad of stories that Black people have. And Lord, if they could just stop starting our history at slavery. How do you take the first people on the earth, every scholar that you can think of will say life started in Africa. How do you take the first people on earth and reduce their history to starting in slavery as though we were not kings, queens, and so we weren't running like whole dynasties prior to these stealing and mass murder of our people.
Hold up though. I mean, I'm here to highlight our kingdom and queendom, but we were freaking people. You know what I'm saying? You had architects, engineers who weren't royalty or considered royalty. We were just
Facts.
people.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So yes, I think we should highlight our, our royalty, but we are people too. We growing crops, we doing all this stuff too. So we have a couple comments from the coworkers. Melanie Thornton, she's a white woman, by the way. I have to tell you that before I read her comment. She said, "Thank you."
How white woman? No, I'm sorry. Melanie.
You need that education about whole. She know what it meant. Gerald W. Jones II says, but they can use Google for any other damn thing they want to know. So Gerald also said, hell no. Kia Brooks said, speak. Dominique A. White say, amen. Kia also said, girl, you saying that where the hell you living? You was lying, you know. Gerald also said, don't tell them to have one-on-ones with their Black friends either. If they want to learn, they can and should find their way onto these posts where we're talking to each other. They can post up, read, listen, learn, and stay silent. Read our articles, listen to our podcast, watch our videos, ear hustle our comment sections. Do all that silently. They can do all their work on their own first. Do that. Then you've earned a right to have a conversation with me. And if you ain't, and I'm gonna add this part, and if you ain't even doing that, you can't call yourself ally.
There's my thing is don't talk. Go ahead.
There's a whole Google document floating right now. I pray that it wasn't one of us that put the labor into it, but my spidey senses says that it is. There's a whole Google document floating on Facebook right now that says how to combat, what is it called?
75 things. 75 things.
75 things. It's got podcast listings, book listings. Shout out to whoever
shared that resource.
I'm gonna share the resource. Yeah.
You got it, Amber?
I do.
Shout out to whoever put that together. I hope it wasn't one of us, but if you did, shout out to you. So there's a whole Google document, but very much agree. Use your Googles. There was a post from someone yesterday, and she said, it is not a Black person's job to educate us. And I was like, thank you so much for posting this. She posted the book White Fragility. She said, here's a source right here. Let's talk in this thread. And I was like, thank you so much. Educate each other. Y'all know how to do that.
I like White Fragility, but you can also purchase books about Black people who talk about our issues every day. If you don't know who we are, G, Isis, or Amber, we talk about these things on our pages. Now, I personally have dialed it back a little bit because I'm tired. But every now and then I go on and give you a 3-point thesis on some stuff white people doing. But we did one on rhythm and blues. We had a podcast on rhythm and blues. So we're talking about this. Gerald that's on here, Gerald got a whole podcast that's called We Buy Black. And he talks about these podcasts. Why, so when you say, I don't know where to look, to me, that's just letting me know you're lazy and you want to be spoon-fed.
Mm-hmm. I think to me, it is frustrating to be asked that, not because of the laundry list of stuff that I said earlier, but because we don't get an option. You're right. When we are going through K through 12 school, when we are watching television, when we are going about our daily lives, we are immersed in white culture. We are immersed in, the things that that the majority finds to be of value. Like we are, whether it is the information that we have to read, the lies that happen, like what Thanksgiving is, like we are immersed in the culture. And so we have to learn it. So I think for me, it's frustrating to have to go back and say, listen, I didn't even get a choice whether I was going to learn yours. It wasn't even a choice for me. I had to learn yours. I had to learn what writers that the majority thinks, you know what I'm saying, are classics. These are amazing literary artists. And it's frustrating because not only do you not have to learn mine, but it's available to you.
Absolutely.
And instead of going and reading, now we Black people often get called lazy. We so lazy, okay? But instead of going to do the research, instead of going to look at the literature, instead of going to read Black artists, instead of going to look at Black culture in an objective way, the easiest thing to do is to ask me, right? Like, now,
you know, I've done the work. You know, I've had to do the work.
I've done the work. I'm Black. I can just go
and
ahead
I'm Black.
and my 37 years.
For all Black people, right? I'm Black. I can speak for all Black people. I can tell you, but that's not lazy. That's not lazy. Now, I don't mean having conversations like when Drew was saying, if you have a Black friend, if you have a white friend, and y'all are talking about things, there are things that should, if you're actually friends, come up in conversation that you can pause and be like, no, hold up, educate me, tell me. Like when you learn what whole is, okay? That's some when you learn a whole new thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, but if you don't have those friends, why is it not lazy for you to not do the work?
And in doing the work, a lot of times people will back away from it. Let's just be honest. Most white people won't have these conversations because number one, it's uncomfortable. Number two, it's going to blow that illusion off. And it's going to make you more self-aware. And now you're uncomfortable. It's messy. And now your normal is gone. And so now you're in a whole new world. So let's just be real. A lot of times you don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to acknowledge certain things because now I actually have to do something about it.
Not just
I was wrong. My bubble has been popped. My bubble of privilege has been, I can't not know I'm privileged now.
Exactly.
It is so uncomfortable that even being called white can cause offense, right? Like, have you ever been in a conversation and you're talking to, you know what I'm saying, to someone of the majority, and you say something like, well, listen, white fragility, wait a minute, whoa. It's like, no, this is a term. I'm just using the word white fragility.
I'm not saying you're fragile.
I'm not saying you're fragile. I'm talking about the word fragility.
It's
or
term I'm using,
if I say white privilege, like, I'm not saying there aren't other privileges. There are. Pause. I'm just talking about this one specifically is white privilege. But the uncomfortable, the discomfort that it, like the visible discomfort that simply being told or having to acknowledge whiteness or being white is baffling to me, because there is not a day that goes by in my life that I'm not reminded I'm Black. Can you think of a day where something has happened that hasn't reminded you in some way that you are Black?
I don't get to take this off when I come home.
I mean, like, I don't, so like,
even
the words, like these words cause such discomfort, but.
Shut up, Amber. I think that let's go ahead and let's be, and I'm not saying you're not, but let's go ahead and call a spade a spade. There's not a day that I don't wake up where I'm not made aware that I'm a Black woman. Because for some reason,
they separate the two. They don't
Black
apart.
people feel as though they can choose between Black and woman. And I ask, when I hear it, I'm like, tell me how you do this, because I'm like, if I can get, which I probably wouldn't do this anyway, but let me know how you get away from one.
I can't, right. You're still a woman. No, honey, I'm a Black woman.
Ain't no choosing. A woman. Ain't no, like, ain't no
choosing.
I'm a woman, but I swear, I can't think, like you're saying, they're not separated, okay? Short of the fact that we all go to the same bathroom, the rules are different. And if you're not gonna call a spade, do not call yourself my friend, okay? If we're not gonna acknowledge that affirmative action has helped more white women be hired than it has Black people, period, man or woman, we're not gonna talk about it. Like, if we're not gonna talk facts when it comes to what being a Black woman means, it's whether it's the pay scale, white man, Black woman, Black woman. right? It does health disparities. Again, the only list where Black women don't come in, like when it comes to social determinants of health and stuff, is suicide, because resiliency is high in our culture, because we get so used to dealing with stuff. Like,
a whole nother conversation on our emotional and mental wellness. Real quick, because I know we talked about privilege earlier, and a lot of times people will say, this is the last thing before we move into the last topic. A lot of people will say, well, I didn't have privilege. They'll associate their socioeconomic status with privilege. That's not necessarily my lane. Don't give us too much, but can you give a quick snippet of how? Okay.
Your favorite diversity specialist?
We don't have to go over tonight. We're gonna go past our 9 o'clock.
We'll go past 9 o'clock. But just real quick, while we have ears, because a lot of times people will say, well, I wasn't privileged. I don't have privilege. I grew up poor. I grew up this, and it's like, that's not the same. You know what? Okay.
Hello, my name is Amber, and I'm your favorite diversity specialist, just in case you didn't know. Privilege is what we call an unearned set of assets. It does not mean that your life has not been hard. It does not mean that you didn't work for the things that you have. It's simply acknowledging that some of the same barriers that may have been placed in front of me were not placed in front of you. Now, if you want to look at it as far as things go, okay, fine. But let's look at it like this. If we know that Black women die at a rate of 3 to 4 to their white counterparts during maternal care, right? It's not that you think Black women should die. You just happen to be in the group that dies less. That's a privilege, right? It's not that you are actively seeking to, like kill the Black women. You just happen to not be in the group that dies, right? So that's the benefit of doubt. If we know that Black neighborhoods are policed, 7 times more than white neighborhoods, it's not that you may think that Black neighborhoods should be policed. It's more so that you just happen to be in the group that these things don't happen to as often. It is not that you did not live a hard life. It is not that you didn't earn your degree. It's not that, and sometimes it is. It is not that you didn't, I'm gonna be real. It simply means that the benefits or even just the benefit of the doubt that is given to you in ways that is not given to those that are people of color.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Amber, your favorite diversity specialist.
Okay. So to bring it down several notches, because technically not a diversity specialist, because I work with specific populations. But what I tell people is a white person. So let's give a scenario base. You and the average Black person being in said scenario together, right? So said scenario could be a traffic stop. When you get pulled over in a traffic stop, how likely are you to be murdered?
To
die. Harassed, because those don't get talked about as much as the ones who die. Harassed, or the best case scenario, a ticket compared to a Black person. When Sandra Bland, the whole Sandra Bland situation, because I'm sassy, I can be sassy. It was a period of time that I just did not get my registration updated in a timely manner when I lived in Dallas, Texas. Every year, I'm just gonna own it. Don't be asking me about today either. But,
ma'am,
when I saw the whole Sandra Bland situation, and I read comments that said she should have put her cigarette out, she should have did this, she should have did that. She did not deserve to be treated how she was treated because she wouldn't put a cigarette out in her car. We give people badges, we give people skin colors, we give people authority that they do not have against Black people. And when we don't conform to that authority that shouldn't have been in place in the first place, all of a sudden it's our fault that we die.
Ahmaud Arbery, two white men who stopped him, nothing. They had no authority to stop
None.
him.
None.
They were not law enforcement. And for the conversation in any way to be that he should have stopped, he could have just told them that he was just, he didn't have to even listen to, he could have flipped them off and kept moving because that was his right as a citizen, but they had no right to legally or to detain him, because that's what you did by trying to impede him from getting down this street and then chase him. Like you have went on a hunt.
Because he didn't belong there. He didn't belong
because
there.
he didn't belong in this area. Like the man was jogging.
And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of, oh, you must be guilty because you ran. Who the hell is you to stop to? Incorrect grammar intended. Who are you? You know, we can have that discussion with law enforcement, but somebody that's off the street, I don't have to stop and do what you tell me to do just because your skin is white. Like slavery's over.
Say it again. Say it again.
Slavery's over, so I don't have to stop. I'm not a sharecropper.
The only people you really have to stop for, like Black people, is like older Black women. Like you always
who gonna check them, boo? Who gonna check?
Because you will always get checked if you don't stop for older Black women. But other than that,
and you better say hi.
Else is not a requirement, but you will stop for Big Mama and her friends.
And you gonna say hi, and you gonna speak or get dragged. Oh, you don't speak? Your people didn't raise you, and so if you want to avoid that, just say hi. How you doing?
I just want to be able. I just want to call a spade a spade. I just want to be able to say, like, acknowledge what it is, and for my white friends and allies, or as Dree calls them, co-conspirators. You know what I'm saying? Like, if being an ally or is something that you're, you know what I'm saying that you want to do, I need you to not only hear and acknowledge, but like make a difference at your Thanksgiving table when Uncle Joe is saying some stuff that you know ain't right. Instead of saying, oh, he's not bothering nobody. No, like if you are actually going to be an ally, do it in spaces even when I'm not around. I mean, like that's what I do.
No, that's factual, because I posted yesterday. A lot of people are asking, you know, where are you teaching your children so that they won't, you know, kill my children? While I'm worried about that, my concern is also, as you stated, what conversations are you having with your parents who have influence, who are a population who are, you know, going to city hall meetings and, you know, have an arena of influence or peers of influence? What are you saying to your friends? What are you saying to your, you know, fellow white coworkers? You know, what do those, like you stated, what do those conversations look like when I'm not around?
How often do you hear those jokes that use the N-word but you don't agree, so you don't say anything, you don't laugh, but you say nothing? How often does that happen? Like, no. Like,
and stop touching my hair. So I'm gonna go to
stop touching my hair.
Okay, give me comments, and then I'm gonna go to the.
Let me go to the comments real quick from my coworkers.
Okay, go to comments, and I'm gonna come up.
So Dominique A. White, so Melanie Thornton said, but they just proved your point, right? We were talking about doing the work, like people doing the work. Right. Dominique A. White said, and yet being Black in this world is uncomfortable every day because of society we can exist in, because of the society we exist in. But many white people are uncomfortable having the conversations about race that they only have to engage in periodically. Melanie also stated, kind of like whiteness, privilege is like air. You don't notice it until you don't have it. Kia said, thank you, ladies, with 3 hearts. Nikki said, hey, ladies. Dominique said,
coworker.
Dominique said, how are you changing all of the spaces you occupy? When you say nothing, you are saying something.
Your silence is so loud. Your silence is so loud.
And last thing before I move to the next topic, when you are talking to a Black person or a person of color and they are sharing their experiences, they are telling you what needs to happen, that is not the time for you to go on the defensive with what you think or how you think it should be. No, I'm sharing with you, and I am telling you what I know from being in the trenches. Be open-minded, and be an active listener, and just, and actually, as Gerald said earlier, be silent. It costs nothing to actively listen, and then go to the circles that influence change, and get started from there.
This is my question about, like, when it comes to the changing of the narrative, or one, everyone is the owner of their own experience, right? Like, everyone, like, why, what what purpose would Black people have to collectively lie about their experience? Like, what are we going to gain from a collective, well thought out lie? Like, do you know how much energy it would take for us to say, listen, y'all, I know that everything is good. I know that everything is equal. We have equality, but I think we should just keep saying it's all bad. We should just keep on saying it, and then not just say, like, we should fight and ride and be willing to die for it, but it's lie that things are bad. That's what we should do.
For the lie.
We have met in secret for so long to help perpetuate the lie that now we believe the lie. We don't even know. It's not that there's actual injustice in the social justice system, in healthcare, in education. It's not that Little Rock LRSD alone just got finished fighting because they were about to segregate the schools. It's like, we all get together to tell this one lie because we are so used to oppression. We just want to keep it that way.
We're gonna keep it that way.
We lie about it.
All right,
stop saying you're my ally. If you take my experience and try to compare it to something that you're going through, right? So stop saying that whatever project you're working on is equivalent to the civil rights movement. Stop saying that you having to self-quarantine at your house is equivalent to being Black. You can't be my ally. It ain't the same.
Listen. Whether you're an ally, whether you explicitly don't like Black people, I don't care. I just need you to never say these words again. Reverse racism. Stop it. Stop. It's not a thing. That's a whole different show. We could spit that's a whole different show. But just know that reverse racism is about as much of a thing as Harry Potter and unicorns. Okay? It's not a thing, y'all. Neither is Black on Black crime. I'm sorry, let me just go.
But that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show.
Crime. It's a whole nother show. But if you don't often say the words white on white crime, if you don't say the words Latinx on Latinx crime, Asian on Asian crime, stop. Black on Black crime is not a thing. And I mean even my own people that say that. Stop it. Stop.
Thank you.
Perpetuating that lie. Because most crime is committed by people who look like them. Which means white people are killing white. That's just basic. That's just basic science. White people killing white people. Asian people killing Asian people. Stop it.
What'd you say, Dree?
I was co-signing Amber.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Last thing, because it is so important. What do you recommend, or what suggestions can you give as far as self-care as a Black person in these times? What are you doing to take care of yourselves in times like these?
So firstly, I'm not doing good self-care, so I don't have any good self-care tips to give you. But what I can give So let me back up, because I wanted to piggyback off of something Amber said. Mm-hmm. I remember when we were talking about reading things for yourself, just different topics. I remember being in elementary school and I saw a picture of a Black person that had been lynched from a tree and been on fire, been lit on fire. I saw that picture in a textbook in the public school system, 3rd, maybe 4th grade, no more than 6th grade, because that's when it ended. I personally paused because I've been interested in Black studies. I've seen civil rights movies, videos, journalistic videos. I've seen movies related to it. I've seen people lynched. I've seen people dragged. I've seen people sprayed with hoses, dogs. I've seen women raped. I've seen that in historical context. primarily not just because I just want to go see that. That's not my thing. But I think that I'm not telling anybody what to do and what not to do. I personally don't watch the videos anymore.
How many
What I
black
realized
bodies
about,
you need to see?
but hold up, and people are saying, oh, it makes me cry. Oh, it makes me upset. For me, it was desensitizing me to what was going on because it became so commonplace that it became part of life. You know, as equivalent to, man, the pump 3 of Valero is slow. Like, it just became that nuance in my life, and that should never be when it comes to a human life. That should never be when it comes to Black issues. So sometimes, you know, we need to unplug. We need to filter what we receive, right? You know, I do watch some videos like witness statements or whatever to fact check, because people will see a video and go so left with what somebody saying, and everybody like, yeah, I can't believe she said that. And I watched the video, I'm like, that ain't what she said though. They went by what the original poster said or what the caption of the video was. I'm like, that ain't what that person said. So I do those type of things, but I personally can't see that anymore because it's becoming, because my coping mechanism was to make that as, oh, that's just the way things are. And once I realized I was getting to that point, because ain't no amount of therapy can help you being a Black person in America. I mean, it helps, but it ain't gonna help you overcome. Like, that's why I tell people, you can't play "We Shall Overcome" in my presence, because that we ain't there yet. We ain't know when is it gonna happen. I think that having your group of people who you can vent to about an issue is good. That's how this podcast got started. First of all, we got tired of y'all tagging us, and every time a white person says something crazy, you tagging us.
Or a Black person, or a person.
Tag in Dree, tag in Amber. No, stop that.
Like, we got
tired of having to tag each other to the stuff y'all tagged us to, because maybe you only tagged one of us and we tied. So I got to tag in my sisters so that they can comment. Now I come back later.
That's different. You know, I love Isis because Isis is the very loving. I ain't that person. So because
you ask for an opinion, you gonna get it.
I'm tired. Amber, because of her job and her profession, she say what she gonna say, but it's a little bit more, you know, tame than how I'm gonna say. My thing is, they gonna fire me, I need my job, but it is what it is. But having somebody to vent to, I think, is good self-care. If you need to go to therapy, you know, to talk to someone, because you don't, you know, maybe you are that Black person in a sea of white people and you don't have that Black input. I have some questions regarding that, but go to therapy. You should find you a Black therapist. That's all I got for you, because I'm struggling on how to do some self-care my dang self. If y'all know something, let me know.
I got you. Amber Nicole, ma'am.
Can I first, before I even answer the question, can I just know what questions Dree has for the lone Black person in the sea of white people? Can I just know one question?
Like, how does that happen? Like, is that intentional? Like, were you dropped off? Like, I mean, and I'm not saying it. Huh? I mean, like, how did you get there?
What if they're in a job position where it's, you know, they're the only Black person in their department?
So I'm not, and that's a tough place to be.
Life, you're the only Black person. Like, I'm not talking. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Like, every aspect of your church, when you get off work,
and not being held captive. Okay, listen. So,
blink twice.
This is what, for me, if you were at your desk and you pulled up a video of people having sex, you would be like, people would be shocked. People would be appalled. You probably not gonna have that job tomorrow. You just start pulling up, you know what I'm saying, like random porn. But
wait, hold up. I can pull up porn on my job and not get fired.
That's different. You have a different job.
That's a different job.
It's a different job. And yours is probably homemade anyways, but it is still like you're pulling up homemade. So anyway, but it has become so commonplace to pull up the death, the snuffing out the soul, leaving a Black man's body, that the video goes viral. Like, that's the world we live in, where porn is like, oh my, but watching an actual death, an actual murder is on, it's not just on the news, but it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's like, and it's normal. And to me, that's disgusting. Like, it's disgusting. When it comes to self-care, during situations like this, like, one, I tell people, y'all know I need time. Like, I tell them, like, I'm going to let you, I'm not going to, like, I think as Black women, we try to, the Black girl magic, the superwoman, the taking care of everybody and everything and all of this. And like this, like when situations like this happen, I take my cape off. And I turn down my Black girl magic and I just let people know I don't have it in me right now. Like, I got 10 solutions for you later, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can think through, but like, I don't have it today. Two, I think there should be Black days, like there should be vacation days, sick days, and then I'm Black days. And I feel like every company should have to give those out. And so during these times, you can just go ahead and code it, I'm Black today, and just not be in, because it hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that I also, as far as self-care, I am not going to allow anyone to tell me how I have to express it. I think that is like, there's the there's the narrative, whether it's like, oh my God, they're looting, which, we already talked about, and that's a whole nother thing, or all of this, or for me, even the people with Stockholm syndrome, or Nightingale syndrome, where I keep seeing the posts from Black people are like, I'll never let racist white people make me forget about the dope white people in my life. Like, wait a minute, pause. I don't have to share this space right now. I think that's what that is for me. Like, I think that there's often so much of us trying to not offend, or so many times we're trying to not, not be exclusionary, even though we are excluded again so often, that when it comes to this space, where I'm hurt, I'm not sharing this right now. Now, if you want to come and pick up a tear and stand beside me and cry with me and say nothing, and when I say like a Black mama to a Black child before we go in the store, nothing. Now, you want to stand beside me and say nothing? Okay. But I'm not sharing this space with you. I'm not going to allow you to recenter my space.
No, absolutely. And those are sometimes self-care is just, you know what? I don't have it right now. I don't have it to give. I don't have it. I don't know what to say. And that's perfectly fine. Therapist hat. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And that's perfectly fine. I know a lot of times we use our social media. I highly recommend that unplugging is healthy. You don't have to go through every status. You don't have to respond to every status. You don't have to respond to every tweet. For me personally, music is self-care. I have a 11 and a half year old Black son. He's getting older. He's getting bigger. I can't watch those videos.
Don't get me started.
I can't watch those videos because now it's getting to a point. Can I send my child, in teaching life skills?
Where you gonna send them? You gonna send them
up the street? No.
You gonna send them to pick up food? Groceries. You gonna send them to where can you send them? Because at this point, you can't even send them jogging.
Yeah, can I let him walk up the street to the gas station like we did as kids, and let him get something on his own? Is he gonna come home?
That's my biggest fear. There's a gas station down the street, and my sons will often be like, "It don't matter what I'm doing." I'd be like, "I can drive you. And the thing is, they want to walk, right? Like, they want to be able to go, but
is my baby coming home?
Is my baby coming home?
Is my baby coming home? So my self-care is music. That's one of the things I've been doing. Exercise is good. So anybody that's active, exercise is definitely a good coping skill. Being around loved ones, if you need to video, if you need to Zoom, if you need your sister circle, your brother circle, whatever it is, those are healthy coping skills as well. Watching our podcast may be a healthy coping skill for you. I don't know.
Subscribe today. Subscribe right now. We are on all major platforms. Subscribe.
We're going to get to that in a minute. So
we got lots of conversations. This ain't the only one. We got lots of conversations.
And I'll list some other coping skills on like our Instagram page or something, for anybody that needs it. But make sure that you have those coping skills, because in times like these, it's very important. And so now we are going to move into coworkers. Comments.
Gerald said you definitely do notice privilege when you have it in ways but not in others. I'm tall, athletic, light-skinned, private school educated, cis hetero black man. I don't get to choose any of that for myself, but all of those things except black work in my favor in ways that are extremely obvious on a day-to-day basis at micro and macro level.
Y'all know the diversity specialist in me just smiled at all the ways he identified, right? Like
I know.
Like I was like, yeah.
Nikki Jackson said,
if he didn't listen to pronouns, I'd be shouting and dancing around my desk. You hear me?
Ma'am. Don't you say, Dree?
Dominique White said, yes, with this black on black crime, stop. Michelle Castell Wolfer said, Nikki Jackson, I'm listening. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Nikki, for inviting someone.
Yes, break room.
Michelle Castell, Nikki said to Michelle, I know you are actively trying to understand this matter and want to make a difference in teaching and raising your children. It starts at home. She did like a little emoji home. Dominique said, sometimes you have to unplug in order to recharge so that you can stay in the fight so that you can keep running this race. Sorry, Tariq laughed at when I said, because I can access porn and work and not get fired. Nikki also said, really,
it's still
Dree,
homemade.
It's her job.
It's still homemade.
I mean, it's still homemade.
We're not going to talk about that right now.
That was 2 shows ago.
That was 2 shows ago.
Whoa, y'all's come in a lot.
Yes, I love engagement.
Nikki, what do you mean by how do we know this? I don't understand your question. And then Sarah said, I'm not understanding what she means by that either. If y'all can elaborate in the comments, I will make sure we get back to you. And then Denise Enid said, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Representative Enid. All right.
Because representation matters.
Yes, it does. Shout out to my fellow Carver mama. Both of our babies were at Carver. Okay, so
I forgot what school my son went to that fast. Like I couldn't even rep. I was trying.
And with
they closed my predominantly black elementary school, so I went to Franklin. Yeah.
Yes, you did. Home of the Yes. Shout out to the Eagles.
Falcon.
Sorry, Falcon.
I
saw the bird.
Oh, our coworker Nikki in the break room wants to know how you were out here watching porn at work. She's trying to get some tips. She's trying to
No, ma'am.
I don't want to watch porn at work. That's just part of my job. I'm not trying to do that. That's not a goal of mine.
You're not gonna put that back on us. Not gonna put that back. Not gonna put that on us. All right. So that wraps up the hot topics. Thank you, coworkers, so much. Amber, what you got for us?
The Karen of the day. Karen, as we have heard so many times, even though we have seen so many things about taking offense to being called a Karen, right? We know a Karen is a woman of the majority that has done something that is either on a macro or micro level biased, racist, discriminatory, and you have now somehow made national news. And this week, the Karen of the week is Amy Cooper. I would like to say I am so sorry for my principals who at Forest Heights, whose name is also Amy Cooper. She's a Black woman. I know she's going through it right now. I know she's going through it. Okay. So Amy Cooper that we are talking about is the one that threatened to call the police on Christian Cooper, no relation, a Black man, and was caught on video lying. I hate that Teal didn't have a cell phone.
I know, right? It's only technology back then. All right, coworkers, a couple of these are not church announcements, but just a couple of things. So as you know, we've been coming to you weekly since we started on Facebook Live, and we appreciate all of your engagement. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to change the frequency up. We'll be going to second and fourth Thursdays of the month. We'll still be here at 8 o'clock, still same social media platform, but it will be the second and fourth Thursday. So be looking for us, same bat time, same social media. And so we appreciate you. Bring a friend. And Dree, tell them how else they can engage with us.
We are on all major podcast platforms: Spotify, Google, Apple, SoundCloud.
She got sexy with it. I was like, wait, what?
We are
YouTube.
and YouTube.
Yeah.
You can
If you
catch
want to see
previous
our
shows
visuals
on
on
YouTube.
Yes, you can see us in the flesh on YouTube. I was actually going to list it under our social media. You can find us on the Twitter. Please tweet
The
us
Twitter.
if you have any topic ideas. We are on the gram, and we are also on Facebook.
All right. So now,
So sliding in DMs.
yeah, yeah. All
I'm
right.
just
So
gonna say that, but that's kind of inappropriate. I kind of went in work mode when I was thinking. I'm like, that's kind of inappropriate, but yeah.
I cannot with y'all. All right. So before we end, for the segment today, read a book. Do you all have any book recommendations, or what are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. It's about two princesses and their battle for the throne. And it is set in like a country in Africa. I don't remember which one, but it's been real nice. And I love magic. So, you know what I'm saying? Of course, it's going to have magic and all of that in it if I'm reading it.
I am on Audible and I'm reading or listening to Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall.
That's my next one.
Okay.
And I'm going back after this to read White Fragility.
Fragility?
Lord Jesus, I'm tired. Fragility. I had a whole work day and a black man got martyred. Give me some grace.
You
Yes,
right.
But yeah, Fragility. Right. That's the name of the book.
All right. And I am currently reading Hamilton. My niece was like, you need to read the book. So I am reading the book by Ron Chernow that inspired the play by Lin-Manuel Miranda. So I'm listening to it on Libby, which is the Central Arkansas Library app. So far it's very interesting. So that's what I'm reading. All right, Dree, will you lead us in a moment of silence?
Well, you just did. So we're gonna have a moment of silence for those of us who have now entered the ancestral plane. I lit a candle earlier at the beginning of the show, so we're gonna give a moment of silence. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all again, coworkers, for tuning in. I hope you were able to take something away. Please share with your friends, family, bring someone next time. And again, second and fourth Thursdays. And as always, we are 3 women,
3 perspectives,
1 podcast.